The truth is we're at a breaking point. A conflict that has defied hopes, resolutions, diplomacy, and even the law is at a race of a one-state solution, which will perpetuate inequality and occupation. This must be stopped, and it can be stopped. But the window of opportunity is the closest it has been ever. And this conflict is very complex. It has been enduring for generations. And this goes back to 1967. And there are many UN resolutions that are according to the international law and approved by the United Nations General Assembly, which are very legitimate. And that Israel has not been compliant about these resolutions. During these last decades, the amount of suffering has been tremendous, and this has specifically been exacerbated in the last 2 years. Nothing can justify the Hamas terror attacks and the taking of the hostages. And this is very important because those attacks were absolutely terrible for those people in Israel and for the families, the country, and humanity. There were even reports by the BBC and the UN that it was not only a massacre, but it was very concretely done in order to create terror among Israelis. And that cannot be justified by all terms. But it also cannot be justified at all the massacre that has been occurring in the last 2 years due to these attacks, and also the occupation in the last decades. This has to stop. Diplomacy is not working anymore, and the window of opportunity of a one-state solution is happening and has already been happening in the last decades. But on the other hand, the window of opportunity of a two-state solution, with Jerusalem as a capital city for both states, and Hamas not as the legitimate government, but rather the Palestinian Authority, including with the West Bank, is the only way forward for a two-state solution. And it is not only being approved by UN resolutions in the United Nations General Assembly in the last decades. No, this is happening right now. Certain governments that hadn't taken a concrete proposal in that regard, they are doing it now, including the UK, Canada, France, and who knows who else will be on board. And again, it is very unprecedented. And it's not because all of a sudden they've realized that they had to take that political perspective. No. It's because of the level of mass destruction and starving that is happening in Gaza, which is unprecedented in the last decades, as we know it in the diplomacy world, which again must be stopped. The solution that Blinken proposed in Tokyo 2 years ago could have been a solution. It wasn't that much talk about, but really could be one potential solution when again the annexation is gone. Palestine is recognized as a legitimate nation, again with Jerusalem as a capital city of both nations. There's no removal, there's no mass deportation of the people that live in Gaza, a solution that was proposed by the US, by President Donald Trump some months ago. And the occupation is over. And this is very important, because otherwise, this is not only, again, human rights, but it's a drawback in democracy and in the prosperity of all humanity, and obviously the security of the Middle East. That's why this needs to be stopped. Again, nothing justifies the attacks of Hamas. That's why they cannot run the government while being recognized as a legitimate state. It must be the Palestinian Authority, and this conflict must end as soon as possible. The starvation might be one of those unprecedented things that we will study in the future, same as we studied the Holocaust and many other very bad and sad consequences and events that took place in the history of humanity. This will be studied as well as one of those cases, but we can still stop it. And that's where the optimism comes from. The international community is very much aligned in this regard. That's why we need to be optimistic about it. It's not that only a single actor wants to foster peace in the region, but rather we're talking about the UN, the majority of countries in the General Assembly, the majority of countries in the Security Council as well. And we're seeing now some governments that are very powerful, at least in international policy, that are clearly stating that the Palestinian state will be recognized if the two-state solution is not being implemented. So that's a way forward. It's a very complex issue, extremely complex. There are many emotions among not only the Palestinians and Israelis, but among many different perspectives and humans in the world. But we need to strive for the two-state solution before it's too late. So what do you think about it? Do you think the state solution is the only way forward? Is there a third alternative that the UN and these states might not be able to put in concrete plans, but maybe you have that potential solution? Well, let us know in the comments below and subscribe if you like content like this. And as always, embrace your curiosity, enjoy life, and if possible, be the change you want to see in the world. See you in the next optimistic adventure.